Hey there guys, I'm back to another video. Yesterday was Sonic's 32nd birthday, and to celebrate, I want to rank pretty much every single game that he has had in his entire library, including a lot of these spin-offs. The only game on here that I have played but isn't on this tier list is Sonic Frontiers because it is a newer title, but I'll just talk about that one at the end. But yeah, I still remember when it was Sonic's 20th birthday and Sonic Generations was coming out. Jazzwares was having all those like really cool Sonic toys coming out. So yeah, 32 years of having this blue hedgehog, and it feels like now he's entering the big years with the movies and everything like that. And Sonic is a culture icon, and I love Sonic. Obviously, it's in my name, TV Sonic. So yeah, let's just talk about a bunch of his games. I haven't played and finished everything, obviously. A lot of these I have never played before, but a bunch of them I also have never finished as well. So I will rank these games accordingly to my opinion, obviously, to whatever that means within this case. But yeah, first up, let's obviously talk about where it all started, the classic games with the Genesis titles. I've actually never finished these games. I've played them up like every now and then when like I was a kid, or even through like collections and whatnot, but I've actually never sat down and fully played a classic Sonic game, which is like insane for me to say. And I feel like some people are going to be like, you're a fake Sonic game fan because you never played and finished those games. But one day, it's been on my bucket list for like years and years and years, and maybe this year will be the year. But if not next year, I promise, I hope. But yeah, in terms of the quality of the games, obviously they're very, very good. Just because I haven't finished them doesn't mean I don't recognize that, hey, like these are really great classic Sonic games. So I'm just gonna put all of them in B. The one that I'm gonna talk about the most is Sonic CD, because I actually did play and finish that one. But yeah, I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is known as like the best classic Sonic game out there for good reason. And with the whole Sonic 3 and then Sonic and Knuckles debacle where they had to separate both releases, or then when you put both games together, it becomes this one big game. But let's talk about Sonic CD, because this is a game that I played when it was re-released on the Xbox Live Arcade. And this was pretty much a very, very good port of it because it had a lot of really good physics. It had pretty much what you would want from a Sonic port. You want the good physics, you want the good music, you want the good graphics, everything like that. So that was my first time ever playing and finishing a classic Sonic game. So yeah, and it is like very, very good. I think it is within the A tier range in my opinion. When it comes to the whole past and future stuff, like that was really cool. And racing against Metal Sonic, the introduction of Amy Rose as well. So yeah, Sonic CD, it does play as like a in-between for Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and this game also just does a lot of cool stuff with it. So Sonic 3D Blast is another classic Sonic game that I played very briefly. It's not very good by any standards of the imagination. I'm sure some people out there have nostalgia for it for whatever reasons they may have, but for me personally, Sonic 3D Blast is not that great, and it's sort of within the same vein as Sonic R. It's the first ever Sonic racing game, and I think what they were going for without the carts was a good idea, but I think just the controls, the mechanics, everything just felt very sloppy and very rushed. The next games we got here are the adventure games. So let me just rank them first, and then we will go from there. I am thinking it's in between A and B for Sonic Adventure 2. But then again, Sonic Adventure 2 does have some gameplay issues with the whole Knuckles and Rouge levels, the way they nerfed the radar for some reason within a single player game. They nerfed the radar. But then, Sonic Adventure has a lot more gameplay styles as well, which sort of make it better or for worse, depending on who you ask. In my opinion, it is a little bit worse just because when you play Sonic and Tails, it's like, oh, okay, like, it's a nice, fun, high-speed action, even though Tails is pretty much just Sonic stuff, just you're racing him instead. And then when it comes to Knuckles, Amy, E102, and Big the Cat, those are very much similar gameplay styles, but some of them are very, very different, especially Big, and they're just not that great. I have not played through both of these games in a very, very long time. I really liked them when I was younger, and I remember replaying them when they came out on Xbox Live Arcade again. And I've even played a little bit of Sonic Adventure 2 recently just for shits and giggles. But I think that those two games, they're not terrible. I have said that in the past to myself, that these games are just awful, not that great. But then again, I have to remind myself that, hey, like these games paved the way for modern 3D Sonic, and they're the reason why, where we are today with the Sonic Frontiers and everything like that. But Sonic Adventure 2 definitely has a lot more of a reputation just because it introduced Shadow the Hedgehog, and the Sonic and Shadow levels are very, very good, and also the lesser of the gameplay styles. The story also is very, very much more grand and more sort of adventurous, if you will. There's a lot going on within both game stories, but I think Sonic Adventure 2 does take the cake in terms of like nostalgia factor and everything like that for most people, and for me as well. Now we got the Sonic Advance games. Now these games are pretty interesting. I think that they are very, very good, just Game Boy Advance sort of 2D Sonic games that have that high speed action from, I believe, Dips developed them, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but they are very, very good. So I'm going to put them above the classic games, not because they're better, but just because I have a more full opinion about them. I have played through the advanced games a lot more than the classic Genesis games, unfortunately, just because I am a much more younger Sonic fan. I am 24 though, so maybe I am not that young. But anyways, Sonic Advance, I still remember playing those games on the GBA and having a lot of fun with them. These games also introduce Cream the Rabbit and things like that. So, these games just have a soft spot, if you excuse me, within my heart. Now, Sonic Heroes, I'm definitely going to put this in S because, once again, it has a soft spot in my heart because it is my first ever Sonic game. This was pretty much the way I was introduced to the character, and also its large library of characters as well. The Sonic Heroes pretty much has over 10 characters that you're going to be playing as, quote unquote, but pretty much everyone plays within one of three styles: speed, power, or flying, whatever the yellow is called. But yeah, like Sonic Heroes is one of my favorite Sonic games just because of that nostalgia factor, but also because it's a decently well-made game. I feel like for kids, if you play through Team Sonic, which is like the normal mode of the game, and you're able to get through that, you're going to be able to get through the other stories, because Team Chaotix is much more mission-based, Team Rose is pretty much the easy mode, and then Team Dark is the harder mode of the game. So there's a lot going on there in terms of the story as well, with all of these stories sort of like interconnecting with each other, which I thought was very, very cool. And also the main villain is Metal Sonic Overlord, which I thought was hella dope. And also the final boss fight with Super Sonic and you taking on Metal Overlord alongside Knuckles and Tails. So, Sonic Heroes definitely has its flaws, but I think that for me personally, it is definitely a S tier game. Not the top of S tier, but we'll get to that. All right, next game we got here is Shadow the Hedgehog. This is a game that needs no introduction whatsoever, I feel like, for Sonic fans. It is a game where it came out because of the popularity of Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow became a really, really big character after Adventure 2, and I guess they were trying to make a Shadow game dedicated to him, make it a lot more darker, edgier, more mature. It was very, very weird, I will say that. Did it work out? No, I don't think so. I think the way that they were trying to get to like the true ending of everything, to sort of show Shadow's story play out and have you play through every single pathway, which is so tedious and not fun whatsoever. And its darker, mature sort of storyline and its gameplay, I don't know. It just did not necessarily work. I definitely have memories of watching like the Shadow the Hedgehog cutscenes on YouTube when I was younger. That was definitely a big part of it, but yeah, if they were to make another like Shadow the Hedgehog dedicated video game, or any sort of spin-off Sonic game where it focuses on one character, it's got to be done right. And, with Shadow, it really just did not work out, unfortunately. Now we got the Sonic Rush games. I'm going to talk about both of them simultaneously. They are both very, very good games. I think that Sonic Rush is definitely a A-tier game. I would put it above Sonic CD for me personally, because I'm a much more modern Sonic fan. And then I would put Sonic Rush Adventure within the S tier. So the reason why I have these games so high up is because these were like one of the first DS games that I got. And on top of that, I still remember going into GameStop and getting Sonic Rush with my best friend Damien. We have a podcast together called the Travis and Damien Podcast, where we talk about games, movies, and anime every other week. Anyways, I still remember going into GameStop and getting Sonic Rush on the DS, and he getting Sonic Rush Adventure, because for some reason he had Sonic Rush and I had Sonic Rush Adventure, and we just didn't have the other ones for like our game collection or whatever. So we just went to GameStop one day and they had the other ones that we needed, so we just bought them both. But anyways, yeah, I played Sonic Rush Adventure first because that was the one that I don't know. That was just the one that I had. That's the one that I bought first. And it is very, very good. I think that the whole like boat mechanics of it were a little interesting. They weren't necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but personally I liked it. I thought that it was pretty cool with the way that they were doing like the stylus and everything like that. And obviously the mechanics of the Rush games are a lot of fun. You doing tricks and you doing the whole boost gameplay, like it is just so much fun. Both Rush games honestly deserve a spot within modern gaming, whether it's on the eShop or whatever the case is. Those things are dead obviously, but sort of a way to replay these games. If Sonic Team decided to remake these games and like pump them out to whatever platforms, I'll buy them because they are very, very good Sonic games. And obviously they introduced Blaze the Cat, who's like a very big character within the Sonic community and a fan favorite just because she is pretty much a alternate dimension version of Sonic. So, and that's pretty cool. Next games we got here are Sonic Riders. So I will talk about all of them together because why not? Sonic Riders, the first one, is actually the best one. I think after Sonic Riders, they sort of try to do a little too much with the series and it sort of plummets. So obviously Sonic Free Riders, they did the whole Connect thing and that was just terrible, awful. It just didn't work properly. Not good. Sonic Zero Gravity, they were trying a little bit too much with the whole like Wii remote mechanics. I know that the game came out on the PS2 as well, but it wasn't necessarily made for that in mind, in my opinion. I think that they really wanted to take advantage of like the Wii remote controller and like the motion controls and everything like that, because that was like a big thing when the Wii came out. It was like, all right, you need to use like the motion controls for it to be cool. And I was like, okay. So I still remember buying that game at Toys R Us because I really wanted it. And when I came home and I played through the whole thing. Still, the motion controls were the most frustrating mechanic about it just because they were never consistent. And I don't know why they thought Free Riders was going to be any better with the Kinect. That was beyond me. But Sonic Riders is actually not that bad. I think that for a Sonic racing game, it's actually pretty good. There are a lot of mechanics to it. It has a huge learning curve, so no one can just pick the game up and play it. You really do need to like sit down and teach someone how to play the game before you can like start playing with them and like start competing like on a fair level, because it's not like Mario Kart where you can just pick it up and play and like you can go through it. There's a lot of mechanics to it, which are crazy. Like the fact that there's a Sonic racing game with this many mechanics to it is kind of insane. So yeah, Sonic Riders is still a fun game. I think that the learning curve is definitely its biggest detriment, but I think that it is the best one within the series. And, Jet the Hawk and the Babylon Rogues, they're pretty cool characters. Sonic 06. So this is obviously a very infamous game within the Sonic community. In my opinion, it is still very, very bad. I know that the whole Project 06 game is being worked on and they're trying to like make the game better and actually make it like a proper video game, if you will. But still, Sonic 06 is a glitchy mess that was rushed out to consumers to celebrate Sonic's 15th anniversary, and it was just not good. I've not played the game fully in a while just because I don't want to relive all of that stuff. But honestly, the most fun part about that game weren't even the Sonic levels. I honestly really enjoyed playing as Silver. The whole telekinesis mechanics were it was just a whole new sort of gameplay style, and I think that Silver as a character is pretty cool. He's a hedgehog from the future, minus the whole like Iblis trigger thing and everything like that. I think that the story had a lot going for it, but it just didn't work out because the gameplay was just so bad and everything else around it was just so rushed and so not even half-baked, like less than half-baked. They really needed to take a lot more time with the game if they wanted it to be better. All right, so next games we got here are the Sonic Rival games. These were PSP games that pretty much act very similarly. Sonic Rivals 2 has more characters, so I'm going to put it above Sonic Rivals 1. But yeah, I still remember playing these games on the PSP because there were no Sonic games on there, and these were pretty much the only ones available, and they were both very, very fun. You're pretty much going to be racing against another NPC, CPU, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to be facing boss fights. You're going to be facing off against them as well. It's been years since I played these games, but I still have a lot of fond memories of playing them. And yeah, maybe they're not as good as I remember it, but hey, Sonic Rivals and Sonic Rivals 2 are definitely staples within my childhood, especially when it comes to the PSP. Next games we got here are the Sonic Storybook games, which are only 2 of them. These were going to be a whole series of like Sonic games that we're going to take on different like stories from classic times or whatever. But anyways, Sonic and the Secret Rings, it's not that great. It is a very, very poor Sonic game. Some people may even say it's worse than Sonic 06. In my opinion, I think it is on par with Sonic 06, but I think it's a little bit better because obviously like the motion controls are like a huge thing where it's like when you want to jump forward, it doesn't necessarily jump you forward. And the way that you get to the final boss and everything like that, it seemed a little bit convoluted for me anyways, as like a kid. But yeah, Sonic and Secret Rings was actually as bad as people say it is. It is really, really bad. I do like the whole cutscenes that they had in there with the whole art style sort of like drawn on kind of thing. And people are going to be surprised with this one. If you know me, you know that I love Sonic and the Black Knight. I don't know what it is, but I just love Sonic and the Black Knight. When it came out, I just had so much fun with it. Shocker, this one's going to go in S. Actually, you know what? Let me just hold my horses and actually be kind of reasonable with myself. I think that this is a tier game. Is it better than Sonic CD? No, but for nostalgia purposes, I'm still going to put it in A tier. So, why do I like Sonic and the Black Knight so much? When it came out, I still, once again, remember going to GameStop the day it came out. My dad took me there. We bought it. I came home. I played it until the end of that night, and then I continued playing it for the coming days, weeks, whatever. And I just had so much fun with it. You know, people may say like the whole waggle mechanic of you like swinging the sword and everything like that may be a little cumbersome and a little bit annoying, but I loved it. I loved doing that. I don't know what it was as a kid, but that was just so much fun. And also the storyline was like decently cool with the whole, sort of using the King Arthur story with it. And I thought the ending, like everything about like the third act and beyond was just so cool. I don't know, with like Excalibur and sort of Sonic turning into Super Sonic with the Excalibur armor. I was like, man, like this is so dope. Like I just love everything about Sonic and the Black Knight. And I recognize that like there are problems with it, with the whole like motion controls and the gameplay itself, but I don't know. Every single time I think about playing Sonic and the Black Knight, I just get happy. It's been a while since I played it, so obviously my opinion might change when I actually do sit down and play it, but Sonic and the Black Knight still remains as one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, which is a weird thing to say. Next game we got here is Sega Superstars Tennis. I think it worked. I played this on my Xbox 360 for a little bit, but I believe the game actually worked. Was it a good tennis game? I'm not exactly sure because I'm not a huge tennis guy, but I mean, I had fun with it for like the hour I played it or whatever. A game that I did not have fun playing because I couldn't even finish it was Sonic Chronicles. Sonic Chronicles was just a weird game. I don't know what it was. It was trying to be a Sonic RPG, obviously, and you use like the stylus, I believe, to like move Sonic around and everything like that. But I don't know. I just could not get into it. It just seemed like a very weird Sonic game to come out, and everything that happened after it with the whole, I forget his name, with the whole comic book artist trying to like claim that, Sonic Chronicles is based on his work and everything like that. I don't know. It just seems like Sonic Chronicles is just such a weird game, and people still want a sequel for it, which is like the craziest thing ever. But yeah, definitely one day I'm gonna have to sit down and, force myself to like play that game. But moving on from there, we have Sonic Unleashed, which honestly propelled my Sonic fandom to like a whole new level because I love Sonic Unleashed. I love Sonic Unleashed before people started liking Sonic Unleashed, if that even makes sense. So over the past few years, I think people have really warmed up to Sonic Unleashed, but when the game initially came out, people were pooping on it. People were saying the game is so bad, like the Hedgehog levels are terrible, yada, yada, yada. I agree with those statements to a certain extent. The Wii version, I think, belongs in B tier. I think I'll put it right there. The Xbox 360 version, I'll put it at the top of B. Actually, you know what? I'll put it bottom of A. There, I'll put it there. Okay, so Sonic Unleashed is a game about, Sonic being a werehog. He's being a werewolf for like half the gameplay. And that gameplay style is very much not focused on speed. It's more focused on beat 'em up action. And you're sort of trying to defeat enemies, but at the same time platforming from area to area. It is a very different style from the daytime stages, which are the boost level gameplay where you are speeding through levels as fast as you can. And you're trying to collect rings, boost fast, all that stuff. The problem with both of them is that the levels are very long, especially the Werehog levels. The Werehog levels are absurdly, really, really, really long, especially on the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions. It's like insane. And then when it comes to the Wii version, which is also like the PlayStation 2 version, that game is just completely different. It's sort of like a dumbed down version of the Xbox 360 and PS3 version. And they somehow made it work. I mean, I actually never finished my copy on the Wii. I got to like Eggman Land and then I just stopped because Eggman Land is so annoying on the Wii. I don't know what it is, but I can get through Eggman Land on the Xbox 360 despite it being as long as it is. The Wii version, I just could not be bothered. It was just so annoying. But just I don't like the Wii version as much as the Xbox version just because of like its inferior gameplay and like its inferior graphics, but or should I say just because of the inferior graphics, it's because of the gameplay. The gameplay isn't as strong in my opinion compared to the modern console version. So but yeah, Sonic Unleashed still has a special place in my heart because I played my Xbox 360 copy so much. The disc has like a crack going through it because I was taking it out so much and putting it into my Xbox and everything like that. So yeah, I love that game so much, and I actually had to buy a second copy for it before I eventually bought my PS3 version because I don't have my Xbox 360 plugged in anymore. So but yeah, Sonic Unleashed is definitely a Sonic game that I still have a, once again, special place in my heart. So moving on from there, we got some other games here. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. This was the first ever Sonic racing game that legitimately worked. This is a very, very good Sonic racing game. I think that, when it came out, it was like, oh my God, it's just copying Mario Kart, yada, yada, yada. But like, it's kind of hard to do that and like be successful with it. And I think Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing did that very, very well. Every character is in a car, obviously, but then again, like, and you got like the Mario Kart-esque items and everything like that, but it works. It was a lot of fun when I played it. I think that the future games within the series aren't as great. Like, I think Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed is not that good. It's still better than Zero Gravity, but, I don't know what it was for that game in particular, but I feel like the transforming mechanic wasn't that strong or that interesting or that cool, in my opinion. It kind of came out, I bought it on the Wii U and I just never really like super dove into it, just like with the first game. But yeah, that one was just not that great. Team Sonic Racing, I actually forgot to put that in. I've actually never played it because I heard some very mixed things about it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just wait for it to go on sale. So there is that. Now let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 4. This was a pretty big announcement when it came out. If you were a part of the Sonic community when this dropped, it was like, oh my God, they're doing Sonic the Hedgehog 4. And when it came out, it disappointed a lot of people because it was honestly not what a lot of people expected, me included. I think that when it initially came out, I was honestly like kind of digging it just because I'm a very much like a modern Sonic fan, like I said, and the mechanics of it didn't bother me that much, but obviously the fact that Sonic has like no momentum whatsoever, and the mechanics did get improved in Sonic 4 Episode 2, but even then it just wasn't there. I don't know what it was, and like they teased like a whole Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 3 that obviously never happened, but we just had the Sonic the Hedgehog 4 with the name attached to it, but it just didn't feel like that. So that's unfortunate. That sucks. I think I'm gonna put the first episode all the way at the bottom, and then I'm gonna put the Episode 2 somewhere in the middle at the top here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because I actually did play Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2 a decent amount. Let me just move some stuff around here, make it so it is somewhat appropriate with my rankings, and then we will go from there. All right, yeah, I think I'm good with everything that is currently in order. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 4, it was definitely a Sonic project that had a lot more ambition going into it, and then it sort of just fell flat, unfortunately. Sonic Colors. This is a Sonic game that came out after Sonic Unleashed that sort of was a response to everyone's complaints about just make a game with the daytime stages, and that's exactly what they did. It is a very good Sonic game still. I recently played the Ultimate edition of it, the Ultimate like remaster of it on the PlayStation 5, and it's still Sonic Colors. That version of the game is not the best just because it is very glitchy and doesn't necessarily have a lot of things that, in my opinion, that I would want from a remaster, aka it working properly. But yeah, Sonic Colors is still a very, very good Sonic game. I would definitely put it at the bottom of A right there. Yeah, I would definitely put it above Black Knight because yeah, Sonic Colors is undeniably one of the better 3D Sonic games out there that is involved with the boost formula and everything like that. So yeah. And then when it comes to Sonic Colors on the DS, I didn't play it a whole bunch. It's pretty much like a spiritual successor to the Rush games. I believe people dubbed this Sonic Rush 3 in a way. I didn't play a lot of it, so I can't really say for sure whether it is like that, but I'll put it at the bottom of B. I'll just put it at the very bottom of B because I don't really have a strong opinion on it because like I said, I don't remember playing it a lot and I don't have a strong enough opinion because of that. So Sonic Generations. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that they did with Sonic Colors, where they had a console version and then they had the 3DS version this time around. So let's just talk about Sonic Generations. I don't remember playing this a whole bunch either. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but I know that there were different zones and different areas within Sonic Generations on the 3DS comparatively to the console version. So let's just talk about the console version. This is definitely one of the better 3D Sonic games out there. It is just so good. It is just so good in like what it does. Just going back to past zones and past themes, and also just using the classic Sonic and modern Sonic gameplay to its fullest extent. Classic Sonic feels pretty good. I know some people out there are trying to be, trying to start stuff within the community, being like, classic Sonic doesn't actually feel all that great, but you're never going to get one-to-one recreation of the Genesis games, no matter what you do. Like, it's always going to feel a little bit different, slightly different. You can only get so close to it before it starts feeling, you're sort of like nitpicking at a certain point. But anyway, Sonic Generations, like I can replay that game any day of the week because it is just so good, so much fun. Going through the years of Sonic with the aesthetics and the level design and everything like that. I still remember the hype for this game leading up to it. Like I said in the beginning, that this game was coming out during the 20th anniversary of Sonic, and I will never forget that teaser trailer where they showed Sonic in like this sort of white zone, and then all of a sudden you see classic Sonic next to him, and it's like, holy moly, what are they doing? So yeah, Sonic Generation definitely has that nostalgia, but also it's just a very, very good game. Oh boy, Sonic Lost World. I actually have never played the 3DS version, but the Wii U version, played a little bit of it. Wasn't all that great. I haven't finished it, so I don't have a full opinion on it. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I played Sonic Generations on the 3DS, so let me just move that down here. Excuse me, apologize. But yeah, Sonic Lost World is not that great. It's not the worst Sonic game that I played, but it's definitely a very different feel for Sonic, especially because we were coming off of Sonic Generations, and then they were like, all right, here's Sonic Lost World, where it looks and feels like a Mario Galaxy game for some reason. I don't know what the hell they were doing. And then they were trying to use the Wisp as like Sonic power-ups when like the Sonic community were like, why are the Wisp here? When like there's no like story reason to give to the player. They were just like, all right, yeah, the Wisp are here. Just act like that they're like mushrooms and like stars for Mario. But like in reality, that's not really how they work. So yeah, Sonic Lost World is just such a weird game. I don't know. I definitely need to also sit down and play that one as well, but yeah. Next games we got here are Sonic mobile games. I believe this one is Sonic Dash, and then this one is Sonic Jump. So pretty much the Doodle Jump and then the Temple Run equivalent of Sonic. And depending on how you look at those games, that's just going to be your opinion on them. There's like Sonic's twist to them. They put like Sonic rings and like Sonic aesthetics and Sonic power-ups or whatever. Me personally, they're okay. They're not necessarily the worst things in the world. They're not outright bad either, but they're not good as well. So I guess I'll put them, I don't want to put them at D because that just means that they're bad when I just said that they're not exactly the worst things in the world. So I'll just put them at the bottom of C and call it a day. What game is actually terrible are the Sonic Boom games. The Sonic Boom games are really, really bad. I think that Sonic Shattered Crystal actually isn't that bad. I want to attribute that to my bias towards Sanzaru Games because they made Sly Cooper 4 and I love Sly Cooper. And they were just trying their best. I think that the main thing that I had with the 3DS version of Sonic Boom was that it was trying to be like a Metroidvania, like where you would like go back to like old levels once you got stuff. And I was like, this doesn't work for Sonic. Like, you're supposed to just be doing levels and whatnot, you know? Like, I just wish that that was how the game operated instead of me going back to like old levels and like redoing them to like unlock another thing or whatever. So yeah, that was not exactly the worst Sonic experience ever, but it wasn't necessarily the best one either. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was definitely like terrible. Like, I played that game to its fullest extent when I was younger. When that came out, I will never forget. Once again, for some reason, I just remember like when I buy all of these Sonic games. Anyways, when I bought Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, I forgot that it was coming out, and I was, I believe, just starting college or whatever, and I was like, we were in a Walmart, and I saw it there for $60. By the way, I spent $60 on the game, bought it at $60, and I was like, I spent $60 on it, so I should like play it as much as I can, do a video on it, and then call it a day. And I did just that. I played the full thing, did a video on it, and yeah, that video is still on this YouTube channel. So yeah, Sonic Boom is just awful. Like, it is literally the worst Sonic game that I've ever played to like its fullest extent. Speaking of good Sonic games, however, Sonic Mania is without a doubt like the best Sonic game out there, unlike anything. Like, it is just so good. Like, I don't know exactly what else I can say that hasn't already been said. The fact that they are trying to recreate the Genesis games and they did it so successfully that it is actually just wild, like how good Sonic Mania is. The physics are on point, the new level designs, the new aesthetics, everything about the game is just such a love letter from Sonic fans who developed the game, but also just like them making it as good as it is. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing. I love Sonic Mania. I cannot sing its praises enough along with the rest of the Sonic community. Like, anyone who honestly thinks Sonic Mania is a bad game, you just don't like Sonic. Like, that's fine. That's fine to think that you don't like Sonic Mania, and that just means you don't like Sonic games. But yeah, if you like Sonic and you think Sonic Mania is bad, I think you should recheck everything. As a person who has never finished and actually fully played a classic Sonic game, other than Sonic CD, Sonic Mania is like one of, if not the best Sonic game out there, without a doubt. All right, last two we got here are Sonic Forces. Sonic Forces, and then I'll talk about Sonic Frontiers afterwards, obviously. But Sonic Forces, the Shadow episode, it was okay. You know, it was playable. You know, it was a nice like hour or so or whatever of like extra free content with Shadow. You know, he pretty much controls the same as Sonic, but Sonic Forces though, oh my God, this is a terrible Sonic game. I mean, what it was trying to do and everything like that with Sonic Forces trying to be like this dark and gritty story, and then they also implemented classic Sonic in a creator character, and everything that was just going on within Sonic Forces was just a big mess. And it just sucks because they try to introduce a brand new villain with Infinite, and Infinite was cool, like character design wise, but and like his motives and everything like that, but just the way they executed it, it was just like, this guy's not intimidating at all. I don't know. It just felt like the stakes weren't as high as they were because they just did not let certain things within the story sit and actually like cook, you know, kind of thing. Because, you know, Sonic and friends lose the fight against Eggman. That should like last for like a few hours within the game at least. But like, you're instantly back into like breaking out of jail, like being Sonic and everything like that. Like, I felt like that stuff about like them losing the battle and Sonic getting captured should have been a much more bigger part of the game, especially since because they were just like, we're just gonna time jump to when Sonic is getting out and classic Sonic comes in, and also the creator character, and we gotta develop this creator character and their backstory. And I was just like, it's just not it. I don't know. Sonic Forces is just, it's just not good. But talking about Sonic Frontiers, however, I'm gonna put that game within A tier, and I'm gonna put it in between. I'm not sure if I should put it at the top of A or if I should put it somewhere in the middle. But anyways, I'll just put it at the bottom for just for like my editing sake, and I don't like kill myself trying to like edit this video. But anyways, yeah, Sonic Frontiers is definitely a very, very good Sonic game. I think that for what it was trying to do with the open world aspect and sort of expand Sonic's horizon within that gameplay, I think they did a fairly decent job with it. I know that there's issues with the game, such as the pop-in is like a big thing, the whole popping in terrain and everything like that. Like technically the game isn't necessarily 100% finished. But then again, you know, the game still functions. You can still play the game. You can still have fun with the mechanics of the open world and everything like that. It's just that when you're running super fast, you're gonna notice things pop up within the air, and it's just not gonna look good. But when it does come to the story, the gameplay, everything else about the game, I honestly really love it. Like, it is just so much fun. The soundtrack is like a huge plus for me personally, just because, you know, I love alternate rock music, and the fact that they got the Sleeping with Sirens lead singer to do Sonic music, I was like, okay, yeah, like that's pretty dope. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers is definitely a modern Sonic game that I thoroughly enjoy, and I hope that we get more games like that in the future. So, but yeah, that was my video to celebrate Sonic's 32nd birthday, which is crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed. What are some of your favorite Sonic games out there? Don't kill me too much about my opinions on Sonic in the comment section, please God. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video once again. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys haven't already, you can subscribe. I put new videos up on Saturdays. You can follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Try to put updates to my future videos on there, along with TikTok, Instagram. I put reels, shorts on my podcast, which is the Travis and Damien podcast, which we talk about games, movies, and anime every other week. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. I'll see you guys next time with more videos.